Good evening, everyone. We are the Group 1 and we are going to present our country analysis. And the country under our study is Myanmar and the economic problem is poverty. So that we have come up the title, An Analysis of Poverty in Myanmar. Next po. Myanmar is a Southeast Asian country and Laos, China, and India. It has an estimated population of 54.41 million as of year 2020. This is according to World Bank, and its currency is kyat. So what was the meaning of Myanmar's flag? As you can see on the presentation, these are the flag of Myanmar, which is including the color of yellow, green, and red, and the white star. The color symbolizes the essence of the country, red for strength and courage, yellow stands for unity, green represents peace, and lastly, the white star was used by Burmese resistance forces during World War II and has made it on the flag. Next po. As you can see, this photo represents the poverty of Myanmar, where the Burmese people are suffering from poverty. Most of them are kids or the younger people. We can see that people are suffering from hunger, lack of shelter, and access to clean water and sanitation.
The point of view of our country analysis is on economic analyst. Assuming an economic analyst conducting an in-depth study on the poverty in Myanmar before and during COVID-19.
This is the economic background of Myanmar. The economic background states that Myanmar had undergone different circumstances such as repressive military rule and poor governance and widespread poverty. Poverty are most likely experienced to the rural areas where most people live. Yet, above all these, during the year 2017, the country's poverty rate dramatically declined from 48% in 2005 to 25% in 2017 and has the GDP of 67,068,745,521 dollars compared to the past years. Next po. But during the February 2021 coup and together with COVID-19 pandemic, the poverty rate of Myanmar has become higher, and millions of people are facing hunger, and 10,000 have fled to other parts of Myanmar or across the borders. Because of the coup, Myanmar became a failing state, according to CFR Joshua Corland says. The statement supported by this evidence. Myanmar has lost 6.1 million jobs in 2021 amid the combined shock of COVID-19 and military coup, the International Labour Organization stated. The Southeast Asian country saw hours of work fall an estimated of 18% in 2021 compared to the previous year, an amount equivalent to the time put by 3 million full-time workers according to the UN agency. Myanmar GDP is also likely to fare significantly worse than its neighbor, with a contraction of 18% in 2021.
The statements of the problem for the country analysis of Myanmar are the following. For the major problem, the country's poverty rate of Myanmar prior COVID-19 pandemic and the expected poverty rate during the COVID-19 pandemic. Later, we would be identifying the Myanmar's status by determining one of the World Economic Indicators, which is the poverty rate. For the minor problem, identify the effect of poverty to specific aspects of the country. In this one, we will also be identifying not only the poverty rate as a whole, but also the effect of it to some indicators, like the percentage of it to household.
Our group cope up with two objectives. Which one which the following one is the short range objectives that must is to gather necessary data about the poverty in Myanmar, to determine the government's contribution to reducing poverty, to be able to understand the poverty situation in Myanmar, and to determine the effects of economic depression.
So now let's move on long range objectives or one's objectives. In this scenario, this is what we want to end up in this study. So the first one is to be aware of the difficulties faced by Myanmar as a result of poverty. And the next one is to determine how poverty might be avoided. And the number three is to discover the elements that influence poverty. And the last one is to find out how poverty affects people. Okay, so now let's talk about the cause and effects. The first one is the political crisis. As you can see, the Myanmar has struggled with military rule, civil war, poor governance, and widespread poverty. And also the coup has also brought economic turmoil, wiping out modest gains in poverty reduction needs over the past decade. So what is the effects for this? And the effect of small business acutely resulting in lost wages and a drop access to food, basic services, and social protection. Okay, and this situation has been worsening since the beginning of the year, when the military took over the country, ousting the democratically elected government. It is now estimated that 14 out of 15 states and regions are within the critical threshold for acute malnutrition. Okay, so now let's talk about the breakdown of COVID-19 in Myanmar. So last 2020, we faced a pandemic, and Myanmar also affected by the COVID-19. And the Myanmar first confirmed COVID-19 case was late in March 2020. In the weeks leading up to the first positive case, Myanmar government outlined its plan for curbing the virus spread on April 6, 2020, and Myanmar government initiated lockdowns and ordered schools and business to commence remote operation. So what is the effects of COVID-19 to Myanmar? The progress of Myanmar has made over the past decade in decreasing its fertility rate, halted and even reversed COVID-19 impact on poverty in Myanmar, demanded that its government make significant investment that will benefit many workers. But tourism, for example, cannot improve without open borders. And the tourism industry hopes for an employment boom when Myanmar's borders fully reopen.
So for our effects of economic depression, as mentioned in the case, the global COVID-19 pandemic is dealing a severe blow to Myanmar's economy. The military group in Myanmar in February 2021 has reversed put a twist decade of gradual economic progress. The coup has brought economic turmoil, wiping out modest gains in poverty reduction made over the past decade. These gains are being unwound by the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic and more so by the hope with the World Bank forecasting 18% contraction in GDP as 2021 and the UNDP warning of a possible doubling of poverty rate. Myanmar is also experiencing socio-economic crisis worsened by COVID-19. The fiat currency has lost more than 60% of its value since September 2021, driving up the cost of food fuel, and other essential goods, while the central bank has made progress in addressing the crisis as it declined reversal as unlikely increasing the likelihood of high unemployment and spikes in poverty, particularly in agricultural areas among garment factory workers in informal and urban settlements. Agriculture contributes 38% of Myanmar's GDP, meaning the disruption to food production and availability will increase the needs of the millions already facing food insecurity and poverty.
Statistics about the problem. The table on the left side of the screen represents the poverty rate of Myanmar in 2017. So these are some world economic indicators for Myanmar. First, the poverty head count ratio at national poverty lines is 24.8% of the total population. By the way, the total population is 53,045,199. The other indicators below, like drinking water deprivation, educational attainment deprivation, and electricity deprivation, may seem so high percentage of the population, while educational attainment, monetary, and sanitation may seem a low percentage, but it means also a deprivation to the country. And that is the statistics of Myanmar on the pre-pandemic setup based on the World Development Indicators or Data Bank of the World Bank in 2017. On the right side is the expected poverty rate that may happen. Currently in this pandemic, the Myanmar has no statistics yet for the poverty rate, but there is an expected poverty rate for 2022. This is based on UNDP or the United Nations Development Program's projections that in early 2020, half a million of Myanmar's population will be living on the poverty line, which means out of 55 million, 25 million will be included in the poverty line. And this would have an effect or significant risk to nutrition, health, and education. Other UNDP's finds or projections are the following. So the surveys also indicated a mass depletion of household savings. That's why 1/3 of families in urban areas using savings to supplement their reduced incomes and half claiming to have no savings left. 27% of urban households report having sold a motorbike, often the main mode of transportation, to make ends meet. Cash is increasingly short supply. Myanmar's largest bank, KBZ, has been limiting cash withdrawals to approximately $120 a day in the local currency. Meanwhile, international remittances, a safety line for many vulnerable households, have been reduced by 10%. So that is the statistics about the problem of this country analysis.
For our detailed action plan undertaken by the government to solve the problem, Myanmar's COVID-19 Economic Relief Plan or SERP main support measures. The COVID-19 Economic Relief Plan, SERP or SERP, released on April 27, 7 goals and 10 strategies, action plans, and 76 actions covering a range of emergency response and For our detailed action plan, for our detailed action plan undertaken by the government to solve the problem, Myanmar's COVID-19 Economic Relief Plan or SERP main support measures. The COVID-19 Economic Relief Plan or SERP released on April 27 consists of 7 goals, 10 strategies, 36 action plans, and 76 actions covering a large emergency, fiscal, and monetary measures. It is expected in cost over 2 billion US dollars and funding is to come from the allocation of budget resources with 22 ministries contributing 10% of their fiscal budgets to the plan. And from the international development thus obtained the billion US dollars loan from the IMF. So finance budget the deficits due to COVID-19 and 50 million US dollars loan from the World Bank for prevention operations and healthcare facilities. Next na. Below are as you can see below are the SERP's main announced measures. First, number one, improving macroeconomic environment through monetary stimulus. Under nito under ng number one is lower bank deposit lending rates by 3%, erasing the impact on the private sector. Under naman nito is yung sa establish 100 million Myanmar Kyat COVID-19 fund, defer payments until the end of the fiscal year on September 30, 2020, appropriate income and commercial tax. Withholding on exports specific good tax custom duties, and Myanmar Agricultural Development Bank under the MOPI to offer the agricultural rural development and livestock. CBM to allow banks to restructure and reschedule MSME loans that regularly pay interest and principal for a longer period of no more than 3 years. Three, easing the impact on workers. Extend labor benefits to unemployed social security board SSB members from 6 months to 1 year from the date of unemployment. Implement labor-intensive community infrastructure projects for laid-off workers and returning migrants. Number 4, easing the impact on households. Under nito, exempt electricity tariffs for all households up to 150 units per month, provide food transfers and emergency rations to vulnerable household and at-risk population, provide cash transfers to vulnerable household, including internally displaced persons, IDP in high-risk areas, improve benefits for social pension and maternal child cash transfer beneficiaries, and negotiate with financial institutions for more flexibility related to interest rates and mortgage payments for affected households.
Kabalon sa previous slide ate. Is strengthening healthcare system. Under immediate plans, improve quarantine facilities, import key medical product required for COVID-19, and improve preventive healthcare measures. For long-term plans, improve capacity building for the healthcare sector and upgrade existing health and medical facilities. Upgrade existing health and medical facilities. Okay. Number 7 is increasing access to COVID-19 response financing, including contingency funds. Under of this is all government entities to reallocate part of their 2019-2020 budgets to CERP fund, improve budget flexibility, and acquire external grants and concessional loans to finance the SERP action plan. Next po. So after the study that we have made, our group have come up to the conclusion, which is Myanmar as a third world country had undergone different circumstances over the past decades, resulting to poverty. The country had been poorer compared to the other countries due to the isolationism favored by the military junta in the 1960s and 1970s. Yet, above all these, Myanmar achieved distinct progress in economic growth and poverty reduction during the years 2005 to 2018. However, extreme natural events, economic, political, and social crises, the ongoing COVID-19 shock, and February 2021 military coup have posed serious challenges to the both growth and poverty reduction. The coup has brought economic disturbance, wiping out the modern gains in poverty reduction made over the past decade. The economic shrunk by nearly 20% in 2021. Additionally, the healthcare system has collapsed amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Millions of people are facing hunger and 10,000 have fled to other parts of Myanmar or across the borders. Because of the coup, Myanmar has become failing state. The pandemic had caused the decline of the economy. The poverty rate is expected to double in 2022 compared to its pre-pandemic level. Myanmar's GDP is also likely to fare significantly worse than its neighbors, with a construction of 18% in 2021. So that we therefore conclude that the poverty in Myanmar has worsened during the February 2021 military coup and the sudden outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic compared to its past situation. And that's all for today or for tonight. And thank you for listening, guys.